Welcome to One-on-One with Expert Flyer. I'm your host, Lisa Caslin, and I just want to remind everybody, please subscribe to our channel because I don't want you guys to miss out on our interviews with travel industry experts and thought leaders. Today, we have an excellent guest. His name is Kurt Ebenhoch, and he is the director of Air Travel Fairness Coalition. And they do some really great advocacy work to sort of help consumers like us who are traveling and want a better view into the pricing models of these airlines. So welcome, Kurt. Thanks for joining.
Well, thank you. It's great to be here.
Good. So just give us a little bit of an overview of what your organization does and how you're helping consumers.
Sure, thanks. Well, Air Travel Fairness is a coalition of consumer and business advocacy groups that are working as a group to really protect consumers' rights to easily compare fares and schedules of different airlines. So right now we're seeing an increasing effort by the airlines to block consumers from seeing the full set of different fares and schedules and flights available to them from some of their favorite resources, some of their favorite apps, some of their favorite travel websites. So we're working to try and protect that right because, as you know and as your guests know, comparison shopping is the way that we all make sure whether or not we're getting a good deal. And
absolutely.
When we do that, we just don't have that degree of confidence about what we're buying.
Okay, that's good work. So, if we kind of bridge to something a little bit more topical, I know Expert Flyer covered this on the blog. There was, I guess, a recent decision by the Department of Transportation that basically, I guess they decided not to pursue some regulation that would have meant greater pricing transparency for the consumer. What's the update on that, and why is it important?
Well, there's two pieces. Really, the issue here is when the consumer finds out all the information. So there were two pieces to it. One of it was how early in the transaction the consumer has the complete picture of what the cost of their trip will be. And as over time, as the airlines have added new fees, new charges for different things, trying to figure out that bottom line of what my total cost is has gotten a lot tougher. So this was something that was going to require that summary of the total cost earlier in the process. And it had been studied over many, many years. There was lots of consumer input. Then the second provision was one where the carriers would have to report to the government how much money they're making on all these different ancillary fees and charges. And what really concerns us is we're seeing a pattern here from the DOT where it feels to us like airline profits are their most important objective, and we think that consumers should really be their most important priority, and they need to put consumers' pocketbooks ahead of airline profits.
Yeah. Do you agree with, I guess there was a statement made from the DOT that basically said that the reason why they decided not to pursue the regulation was because it was overly burdensome. Do you think that that's just chitter chatter, or do you think that it's true that it would result in an unreasonable burden?
Well, it's certainly the talking points that we're seeing the major airlines use, but we don't think it would be overly burdensome at all. U.S. airlines are making profits like they've never have before, and we don't begrudge that. We're happy that they're successful.
Sure.
But to somehow say that helping consumers make a more informed choice is overly burdensome, we just don't think is reasonable at all.
Okay.
These different things that they're doing, whether it's what I mentioned before with making it hard for consumers to compare fares and schedules, or with what's happened with the DOT, are all examples of kind of behind-the-scenes price increases or deception that make it more difficult for consumers to find out the bottom line cost of their trip. And they're doing it for no other reason than to extract more money from the consumer. So, our point of view is if the airlines want to charge a certain fare, this is a free market economy, they should charge that fare, they should charge whatever surcharge, but let's get it all out in the open so everybody knows what they're getting into, rather than kind of deception and hide and seek with these different charges and fees.
So what's the next step for your coalition?
Well, right now, we're very much trying to get what's called a request for information reinstated. And sometimes when it comes to policy making, one of the early steps is for a government agency, in this case the Department of Transportation, that's charged with protecting American consumers, with doing a request for information where they get different facts, different data from different parties, in the travel environment, the different players in the market. And then from that, they're able to make a more informed choice about what impact these practices are having on consumers. We had a request for information in place. It generated more than 58,000 comments, including 50,000 from individual travelers who just wrote to the DOT expressing their concern on this. And it was initially had a deadline of December 31st of 2016. That deadline was extended by the Obama administration to March 31st, 2017 at the request of the airlines. And then on March 10th, inexplicably, the Trump administration suspended the RFI altogether. And it's frozen since. And so we've been working with members of Congress and with the DOT to get that reinstated. And what's curious to us is that the airline industry is working very, very hard to try and stop the reinstatement of that. And we're not talking about new legislation or a new rule. We're just talking about getting the facts out on the table and letting things go from there. But even in that case, they're working aggressively to even stop that from happening, that step in the process from happening. And we think it's important for everyone involved, all the decision makers, the policy makers, to really see what's going on and what impact these practices are having. Because we think consumers, the folks that are watching your program, should be able to decide which website they go to, which app they use, which travel resource they use. It's not for the airlines to decide that. And now that the top 4 carriers have more than 80% of the market, we're starting to see some oligopolistic practices.
Yes.
What they're doing, and they're flexing that market power, and this is one way where they're trying to take over travel distribution.
Well, you're doing great work, and we thank you, certainly. So if folks want to find out more information about you and the organization, where should they go?
Thanks for asking. www.airtravelfairness.org. Please follow us on Twitter and on Facebook, and we'd appreciate your audience's support. Thanks so much.
Absolutely. Glad to have you. Have a great day.
Thank you.